So I would say, so what? I was raised by a teen parent with an absent father. My decisions are mine to make. So what that life dealt me a bad hand. It's my strategy that's gonna pull me up at the top. And so I think that, to be honest, there's something innate that has to be within the individual self to say, hey, I want more. I want better. I want to strive for greater. And what it looks like to me is that you surround yourself with people who believe in you, who believe in what you can be, who see yourself, who see you in the future, who see you being a hope and inspiration and light. Because what happens is that it's all about the mindset. We have to adapt a positive mindset. And it's really hard to do when you're stuck in a moment or you're dwelling on sob stories that really creates depression, really creates anxiety, that really creates battles within oneself. And so I would challenge anybody, regardless of what your circumstance is.
Hey everybody, I'm back with another episode of Solar Success Stories. And today I'm speaking with my newer friend, Jevonte Porter. And Jevonte is the Director of Community Relations for the Memphis Allies program, which is a part of Youth Villages, which is an amazing organization. I am motherly proud of Jevonte because he is so much younger than me and actually closer to my son's age, but he is doing some big things in the city, some big, amazing things. And everybody who knows me knows that I'm all about a powerful story of resilience for yourself and impacting resilient stories for other people. And that's what Jevonte is doing. So Jevonte, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. First of all, Summer, thank you for the opportunity to kind of share my story, but more importantly, for just having this platform to shine a light on hidden jewels in this city. So I really appreciate you and your story and just what you stand for. But for those of you who do not know me, I'm Jevonte Porter Sr. Recently a senior, as in 3 years ago, and now I have a son, Jevonte Jr., as well as a daughter. Born and raised here in Memphis, Tennessee, specifically Orange Mound. We like to call ourselves Orange Mound, Tennessee. I've been raised to think that we're our own city. We move like our own city, but a very unique and established community that had the pleasure of growing up and went to Melrose High School. Graduated valedictorian of my class at Melrose, which is a legacy school for my entire family. Very institutional in what it brings and what it means to a lot of alumni. We have one of the largest alumni in the country, I would like to add, because we're spread out across the country in California, Atlanta, Missouri, Chicago, New York, and Memphis, of course. So a vast majority of professionals who are doing some amazing work across this country. So I really love what Melrose mean. And our motto is serving with pride and humility. And so that has kind of carried me through my entire upbringing, my childhood, my collegiate journey, now my professional journey. Left Melrose and went to UT Knoxville. So go Vols. As you know, we recently beat Bama. It's almost like the Division One championship type belt, but we're not there yet. But I am a Vols fan. My wife and I both went to UT Knoxville as well, which is the flagship college here in the state of Tennessee. Left UT Knox and began to intern with the city of Memphis. Our now mayor, Paul Young, hired me to work in his department at the time, which was the Housing and Community Development. And since then, I've been like putting my hand on the pavement. Prior to that, interning with the Memphis Bar Association here in Memphis, Senator Bob Corker in the legislative branch here in the United States government. And so really wanted to create, what does it mean for me to have a stance in the decision-making process that not only impacts me, but individuals who look just like me from where I come from. So graduated UT, came home, worked, and my wife and I decided to get married. We high school friends and college, marriage. We have two beautiful children, Madison Porter, whose birthday is tomorrow. She's turning the big 4. So really excited to celebrate her this weekend. And of course, my son, who I referenced earlier, and born and raised from a single parent, a teen mom. My mom had me at the age of 16.
So we're gonna get into that. Let's
Okay,
stop
and I'll stop there, but that's
there.
me in a nutshell, and what I do, and just of course we could talk a little bit more about that, but that's me. That's my story. I'm the only child, by the way, as well. So that's my story.
Uh, so I love it. Again, even hearing you say a lot of those things that I didn't know, some of those things I didn't know, it makes me so much even more proud of you and the things that you're doing, the impact that you're making. So now let's get into your story. So
Mhm.
in this program, I have what I call the SOA success system. It is my belief that absolutely anyone can be successful if they learn how to overcome obstacles, eliminate excuses, and calculate choices. And Jevonte, you have proven that you know how to do that. You can, if anybody can do that, overcome obstacles, eliminate excuses, calculate choices, they can have what I call SOA success. And that's success no matter what happens in life. And Jevonte, you are a SOA success man. You have proven it. So let's get into your story. The first part of the SOA success system is overcoming obstacles. Now, talk about some of the obstacles you've had to overcome to get to where you are today.
Oh, absolutely. So I think I was beginning to go into this. But again, so I am a product of a single parent, of a teen mom who had the odds stacked against her. I'm also the product of an individual who does not know to this day his biological father. I've never had the experience of what it means to be attached or associated with my original fatherhood. I've had mentors, I've had father figures, but I've never had someone to call my own. And so there's always been a part of me that I felt like was just lost in the world. And I've kind of had to create, well, what does that identity look like? Coupled that with a teen mom who had me at 16. My mom had me at 16. Prior to her having me, my mother, who also attended uh, Melrose High School, was a high school dropout. She just had encountered several traumatic events during her time as a student at Melrose. Um, was also, molested during her time there as well. And then you take that fast forward months later, you're now birthing the son into an environment that's not conducive to you, your growth, your success, or your mental and emotional well-being. She has also struggled with challenges of fatherhood as well as motherhood. My grandmother, who I love, was no longer with us, um, was I would say, a functioning uh, drug addict. You wouldn't be able to tell, but my grandmother get a little emotional because she's not here with us because I never saw that side of her. But my mom, who's the baby girl, saw it. And so and it was just a part of her DNA. And so my mom was a hustler, what I like to call it. She was gang affiliated and she was just that. And so she raised me to be resilient. She raised me to be a go-getter, never to take anything for advantage, and to always prioritize self-worth. And so it was something about her that reminded me of my value despite life's circumstances in that moment. And then you add not having a father figure. So she always kind of had to be a little more, I guess, rough around the edges because she's raising a black boy in America in an underserved, low socioeconomic community that does not cater to nor nurture what I stand and what I represent. And so my mom, even in this day and that time now, will always be my hope and inspiration. Um, so in a nutshell, you take me, an inner city youth who goes to the same school that she dropped out of and now becomes number one at that school. Talk about full circle moment and talk about what that means to her. I think that is her reward, as in her hard work and her effort and her discipline and her love, her unconditional love was not in vain. Um, I always knew that what I grew up in was not the all and all be all. Like this was not it. This was not my plateau. This was not my finish line. This was just the beginning of something. And so I knew that my crutch cannot be, as some would say, feeling like a bastard child. That cannot be my crutch. That cannot be what I allowed to create a statistic or to become a statistic. I cannot allow that to be my identity. That's not my self-worth.
You know what? I think that's a good transition to the second
Mhm.
part of the SOA success system, which is eliminating the excuses.
Absolutely.
You just
Absolutely.
you just said a mouthful. Now talk a little bit more about the excuses you had to eliminate so that you didn't take on that identity.
Absolutely. I think, I mean, the number prominent one is that because I did not have a father doesn't mean I can grow up and be a man who leads his household one day, who fathers his own children. I had to eliminate the excuse that because I had a teen mom, it doesn't negate the fact that her presence and her willingness to still to instill growth, to instill what it means, the basic attitudes of life, how to really care of myself, and what does it mean to be a parent. I cannot allow her because she was a child raising a child, and so I cannot allow that to set me apart of what it means to be successful. I cannot allow my environment because of the drugs, the guns, food deserts, the insecurities, the lack of equitable institutional resources that we need in schools to really build up character, to eliminate me from being a part of the not so norm, right? Like, what does it mean to be considered a rare jewel? What does it mean to be considered one in a million? And my environment would not be what dictate my future. And I've always stated that where I am now would never ever dictate where I'm going. It's all about the basic building blocks of success. And how do you take life adversities and really mold that into a recipe for resilience, for aspiring to be something greater than what you see around you. So what that means is that I had to expose myself to different things, and I didn't have to wait on nobody to do it for me. I took the initiative to do it for myself because I knew that who I was today was going to impact lives tomorrow, and that required me to really put my hand on the plow at a very early age. So oftentimes people say, "You're such an old soul," and rightfully so. It was not my choice. It was not my choice to be as advanced now. What it was is that my adolescence was stripped from me because I did not have the opportunity to go play with toys. Unfortunately, I had to build. I had to build early. I had to begin to face reality at a very early age and say, "Hey, if you want something greater than what you see, if you're wanting to apply yourself and really be true to who you are and pay homage to what you come from, then you gotta like really pull yourself up by your bootstraps and really be forward thinking and be intentional about the decisions you're making." And so I could not allow life circumstances as a child dictate my success. I cannot allow the lack of fatherhood, the lack of having a father, and even to this day, not knowing who the individual is, shape and mold who I should be as an African American man in this country, in this city, or in my children's lives.
I gotta go a little deeper on that one because I think that's so powerful because so I have a curriculum that's in the school system, so with literacy, life skills, and character education curriculum.
Mhm.
And the first thing they do when they do this curriculum is the so what statement. And that's just, they have to say so what to some situation in their lives. And overwhelmingly, it's so what I don't know my dad. Or so what my dad is not in my life, or I might know him, but he's not in. And that is, and again, overwhelmingly, because there are so many yous, so many you at that time in your life, right? So many Black boys who don't have their fathers in their lives. And we know the statistics, so many don't become you either, unfortunately. So many don't have the mindset that you had. And and of course, I'm sitting here looking at you and listening to you, and I see myself and I see my son in you. It's so odd.
Right,
But
right.
I do. I see myself and I see my son. So can you go think share a little bit more about what you feel like was your motivation to be like, that is not gonna be me. I don't know my dad. So what? I don't know my dad. So what? My dad is not here. So what? My mom is not even really equipped to do what she needs to do as a mom. You recognize and give her that grace.
Right.
Talk a little bit more if you can about, because some young man is gonna be watching this who has an excuse that I don't know my dad, so I'm not gonna make it. So anything else you want to share that can really encourage a young man to be like, that's not gonna be my excuse.
Absolutely. So I would say, so what? I was raised by a teen parent with an absent father. My decisions are mine to make. So what that life dealt me a bad hand, it's my strategy that's gonna pull me up at the top. And so I think that, to be honest, there's something innate that has to be within the individual self to say, hey, I want more. I want better. I want to strive for greater. And what it looks like to me is that you surround yourself with people who believe in you, who believe in what you can be, who see yourself, who see you in the future, who see you being a hope and inspirational light. Because what happens is that it's all about the mindset. We have to adapt a positive mindset. And it's really hard to do when you're stuck in a moment or you're dwelling on sob stories that really creates depression, really creates anxiety, that really creates battles within oneself. And so I would challenge anybody, regardless of what your circumstance is, and it is easier said than done. What do you want for yourself? Like, how do you go out and get it for yourself? What strategies are you putting in place to build you? How do you build self? So I'm all about like pouring in my own cup. I cannot give any ounce of me if I'm operating on empty. And so I think who honestly taught me that is my mom. So despite her being a teen mom, despite her not having all the tools, all the resources, despite her not being educationally sound with a high school diploma and not going to college, I'm a first generational college student. I'm only able to do that because she saw something in me that said, hey, my child deserves better. And for the parents who don't do that, you as an individual has a decision to make and say, I deserve better. But what happens is that we have to adapt our minds to begin to think positively. I've always had a futuristic mindset. That's just something that I feel like God has had his hand on me my entire life. And let me just pause and like relish on that. Nothing I am, nothing what I will ever accomplish to be is without his grace and his blessings. God is literally orchestrated my entire life. Like he's the architect of my divine plan and what I have for self. And because I was very intentional about understanding if it's his will or his way, I always say operate on purpose and purpose. And if you're doing anything outside of purpose, it's not going to sustain itself and it's not going to last. All of that plays into my decisions. And I think we have to be very mindful of that. Even we talk about today's crimes, today's statistics, and I see young black brothers who look just like me. I'm not far removed. I'm 28. So I'm not that far removed from who we talk about in the news every day. We got decisions to make, right? We got families to feed. What does it look like for you? How do you say, I want better, I want more? There has to be something innate that challenges you to think outside of the norm. And I think for me, it was me, it was a willingness to want more, but it was the opportunity to be exposed to different outlets of life that gave me a new perspective on what does it mean to be an African American male in this city and to just grow and thrive.
And so it's another good segue to choices.
This is
Calculated
calculated
choices.
choice.
The
I
third
love that.
part.
Listen, I love it. I never thought about it like that, but you are so on point. I love it. Calculated choice.
And so are you, obviously, because you moving straight through this. The third part of Soul Success System is calculated choices. Talk
Absolutely.
about some of those calculated choices that you've made to get to
I'm
where
gonna be
you
honest
are.
with you. I always knew that my net worth depended on my net worth. And so very early on, I had a wise mentor who talked to me about the sphere of influence. And you are the company you keep. I mean, that is a folktale that we hear all the time, but it's very true saying. And so I was very intentional about who I surrounded myself with, what books did I read, what politics did I study, because I believe in politics. I love politics. That's what I went to school for. Who are some prominent leaders in the city that I feel like are doing some amazing things that I want to mimic one day, that I want to be a mirror of my admiration for them. So I was strategic. I was strategic in the college of choice. I was strategic in the friends that I hung around. I was strategic in my appearance, despite my level of register. Because we talk about as you climb the success ladder, the different type of register that you use, whether it's a formal register, whether that's the slang or whatever level of register that you use. I was very strategic on like, how do I advance in this particular demographic or with this particular type of people to set myself up for success. Because oftentimes what they see up close and personal could be what sets me apart from the rest. So I was very strategic in how I carried myself, the type of books that I would read. I was really trying to expand my vocabulary because I thought that if I was an educated black man, that would save me from being targeted, and it don't. It does not. What it does do is it emphasizes your importance, and what it does do, it gives you more of a reason to continue to challenge those stereotypes and pave way for more black brothers who may not have the opportunity to understand what it means to operate in a formal register or to thrive in this particular societal norm. So I was very calculated on trying to understand that. The biggest piece for me is the walls outside of what I was accustomed to. If you notice, even in our programs today, a lot of the people that we serve do not go outside of the 4 or 5 blocks that they used to. Exposure is key, and we have to expose our children to to small things early on. Like right now, I'm making sure that I'm intentional. My wife and I are very intentional with what we expose our children to. There's no way that my child should be 6 or 7 just not knowing what is this part of town, what is this museum. Like it's those very small things that make up of an identity of what a person sees. And so when you do come outside of your neighborhoods, what we call our hood, because Orange Man gonna be forever my hood. When you come outside of that, you see something that should not be uh, foreign to you, but it is because you've never explored it. And Memphis has so many great features and so many historical contexts and facts to explore that we're not prone to because we don't go outside those walls. So I was very, very intentional about wanting to expose myself to different things. I was able to travel outside of the country at a very young age. I mean, what does it mean to be outside of the USA? But it's me surrounding myself with mentors and great leaders who were invested in my success, who were invested in my physical and emotional well-being, and I'll contribute a lot of my growth, professional growth as well, to them because they took a chance on me. They took a chance on an inner city boy who had hope, who had potential, and who had a willingness to be resilient and more importantly to overcome adversity. And and when you get people like that, you cherish them because they don't have to. They don't have to invest in you holistically. And so they have allowed me to do that now for others at a young age. You don't have to be. I don't have to have all the riches in the world or have all the fame in the world to make a direct impact. There's young boys I mentor today because guess what? I see something in you that you may have yet to see in yourself. And if I can be just a beacon of hope and a beacon of inspiration and show you your light, just imagine how you can light up a room. If you take just a little bit in you. And so, uh,
I was gonna say, I think it's just major.
man,
Like you even said, how when you get that and a mentor, you cherish it, right?
cherish it.
But also, as a mentor, now that you are a mentor, you cherish when you have that young
Yes.
person who is like you are soaking it all in, who will
Yes.
listen, who will receive something, who will take something from what you're doing, which when you're in.
Absolutely.
Other thing I was gonna say is that yeah, so I in the So What Foundation, the nonprofit that I have, we have what we call the Step Out program. And the
Mm,
E, it stands for self-esteem, teamwork, exposure, personal development, overcome, understand, triumph. The E is exposure. And you went deep on exposure. And one of the things that we do, we take our participants to Washington, D.C. And it's
wow.
strategic while we do that. But it's so key, exactly what you just said. But I also really like what you just said in that your exposure, you talked about Memphis. It's so much you can see and do. And so we're in Memphis and we know everybody, people who will watch this will be in other cities all over the world. But you can get exposure right where you are,
Right where you
beyond
are.
where you are.
I think what people don't understand is that the reason why you have young people specifically is who I'm leaning on and referencing who is so much on trying to demolish a city that we all love is because they don't understand the value and the significance that the world around us see. And so how do we help our young people see what Memphis has to offer, what Memphis has to bring? How do we retain young talent? We have to invest resources and be intentional about trying to mold them into be successful leaders. And that means taking a risk on a young person who you may think has the potential to rob you or to let our fears and let our guards down. Go back to the village. I had a village. Go back to the village, go back to the home base. And I think that's when we will start to see a drastic change in how we upkeep our own city, our own neighborhoods, our own streets, is because we have to find value and love and joy and what raises us and what nurtures us. We have to nurture them for them to nurture us. And I think that's the significance, that's the important piece, is that we have to get them to understand the true impact of what Memphis is and what it has to offer for them.
I love it. I love it. So Jevonte, you have demonstrated you know how to overcome obstacles, eliminate excuses, and calculate choices. You are definitely a soul of success man. And again, I'm so proud of you. I really, really am. I'm so proud of you. Um, but what is your personal definition of success?
Wow. That's a loaded gun right there. I think my personal definition of success is how do I leverage is, or I would say my ability to leverage resources that directly supports and serves and benefits others. And so I'm a connector, I'm a bridge builder. And so I think if I can connect a dot, if I can connect someone to tangible resources, if I can help someone climb a ladder, if I can be a bridge, because I don't believe in gatekeeping at all. If I can be a bridge to someone's virtue, to someone's triumph, then that's successful in my own right. To me personally, I feel like I've accomplished something. My purpose on life is to really help others and be a bridge connector and to be a bridge builder. I'm helping to lay the foundation that amplifies what it means for future generations to come. So I think for me, my personal definition is how am I benefiting and serving others? And I've always operated in servant leadership. I've always been taught what does it mean to give back? And the reason why some is because someone took a chance on Jevonte, on Tay Tay, on my male name. Someone took a chance on Tay Tay. And so I am obligated to take chances on many other people because who knows when they're blessing and when they're breakthrough. I may be somebody's breakthrough, literally. And so I'm obligated to do that and serve in that way. So that's my personal definition of success.
Let me tell you why it's so powerful that that's your answer to me. So it's great. It's a wonderful answer, and that would be my answer now. But when I was 28 years old, and I was a servant leader, and I was giving, and I was really driven. But you know what? I was a little bit more selfish. My
Mm,
definition of success was like if I have a house and a nice car, and if I make this
mm.
amount of money, that would have been my answer, and that I would say that would be a lot of people's answer, and it would be understandable. So I think it's so remarkable that had nothing to do with your definition of success. I think that that's amazing, and that's why you are where you are today, and that's why you're successful at
Mm.
what you do and able to have the impact that you're making. And it gets me for real as again, motherly excited, mentally excited, like, oh my God, where are you going to be when you are my age, 10 years
Mm.
from now, 20 years from now, because you have an amazing heart. That's awesome. That is just really, really awesome. I want you to know that's incredible. One last question for you. Somebody watching this, and let's say it is a young person, because both of us especially work with young people, and they want to be successful, but they have obstacles, maybe some of the same obstacles that you face. What's one additional piece? You've given a lot of advice, but what's one additional piece of advice you would leave them with?
I think the last thing I'll leave to anybody watching this, to anybody who is pondering professional moves or life altering decisions to make, what has helped me really, excel both professionally, personally, is to show up every day my authentic self. So whether I'm in a boardroom or whether I'm in the streets, I'm gonna be Jevonte Porter because I am my ancestors' wildest dream, and that is no pun intended. And I think I have the ability to show people you don't have to conform to be successful. You don't have to morph into what society is wanting you to be authentic. You can just be your honest, transparent self and show up whole every day, committed to the process. And so, my advice to anybody, despite age, is to show up every day to be your authentic self and watch what it do. Watch what it do for you and watch what it does for others.
I love it. Jevonte, this has been awesome. I'm so excited about people watching this video. or this interview because I know the impact it will make. And I'm so excited to see the continuation of the work that you're doing and the impact that you're making. Thank you so much for your time. I am so happy to now be your friend.
For life. We locked in for life, girl.
To be your friend, your partner, and anything I can do to support you on your journey, I'm excited to be doing it.
Summer, thank you so much. And can I be honest about something? You have the ability and the influence to really pull out of people what they oftentimes will not share. And I commend you for your grace, but more importantly, I commend you for your humility because you're so humble and your spirit is so genuine. And I know this man, it's so much great things in store for you. Please stay consistent. I don't know what it is, and he just dropped this in my spirit. I don't know what it is that's making you second guess your next move, but it's time for you to press play and go and just jump, jump, jump. I don't know what you're waiting on, but he jump. It's time for you to jump.
I
Your
love
next
it.
level is your next level is already loaded. It's just waiting on you to just press play.
Yep, received.
All right now.
Thank
Amen.
you, my friend. You have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you, Summer.
That
I
was good.
appreciate you.
Thank you. Have a good one. Love you, my friend. Love
I
you.
love you too. And ain't nothing you can do about it.
Thanks, Jevonte.
Have a good one.